I remember being stood next to this fire bin just to stay warm, and Keanu Reeves walked up to me. Hey man, how's it going? You couldn't believe just how normal he is and how nice he is. So I worked in water filtration for a while. Was a researcher for molecular hydrogen. I did a bunch of stuff, I was a paranormal investigator for a few years. I didn't know Michelle Yeoh was in it until it got announced. Oh my gosh, she is your best friend, your big sister, your aunt, and your mum rolled into one. Martial arts schools will teach you that fighting is the last resort. But it tends to be the first thing they teach. I got the call from Jenny, the casting director, saying, Jon, you got the job, you got the role. And I think there was about a minute where I didn't say anything. About 10 years ago, I wrote a list of things that I didn't like about myself, things that needed to change. It was a long list. So if we can get into the mindset of a would-be attacker, then I can also prevent myself from being attacked. I got thrown over the table by The Rock. I got home at 1 in the morning, and at 8 o'clock in the morning, I was back at my desk at work with a tattoo I couldn't wash off and bruising everywhere. So you can see like 5 reflections. Yeah. You wave, right? And one of them doesn't wave back.
Hi, I'm Andrei Rogozin, and this is Beyond Real Talk, a podcast where I invite real entertainment industry professionals and ask them real questions. What are they actually doing? How are they doing it? Why are they doing it? And how can you start doing the same thing? And my today's guest is a martial artist, stuntman, a fight coordinator, a musician, producer, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have 2 doctorates.
Right.
So, Jon Xue Zhang.
Yeah, Jon Xue Zhang, thank you so much.
So, 2 doctorates. How did that happen?
I have Asian parents.
Okay.
So in Asian families, being academic is very important. So having some physical attributes is good, but you want to be able to think as well and have analytical skills and be academic. And in almost all Asian backgrounds, the parents will always push academics. So it's not just studying, it's also music as well. So I would say genetically, it's in our genetics to be academic.
Yeah, all right. We'll talk later more about that, but let's start from the very beginning. So you're a martial artist. You have rich martial backgrounds. I think you studied a lot of different martial arts. You competed as well, right? So how did it begin? From what? Who pushed you to that?
So it was my father who pushed me into training in 1993. So I would have been 5 at the time. And it was something that I was just born into, something that I've always done. It was just part of life. So some kids come home, they might do some drawing or they, play around. For us, it was training, and I never questioned it. It was tough, but I never questioned it. And looking back now, I'm very grateful for the discipline that it instilled in me. I would say that there were parts of training that I liked and other parts of training that I didn't like so much. But ultimately, it was my father trained us in different styles of martial arts and then got me and my brother to train with other people. And that way we could expand our knowledge on the martial arts. And martial arts splits into 3 main categories. You have fighting, health, and performance. So as a martial artist, obviously you want to be healthy. You want to be strong. You also need to be able to fight if you have to. And the performance element, that's what I do for a living now. So I'm still doing those 3 things, still putting those skills into practice. But it was a tough childhood, but I've been training every day since 1993.
Wow. Yeah. All right. And your father, was he a martial artist as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it just got passed down over time. So academics and martial arts, you have that kind of balance.
So you're also an author.
Yes.
And I think in your book, you say that martial arts is not just about fighting is a way of life, because a lot of people might say that martial arts is also an art of punching other people in the face.
Yes, there is that.
So how is this a way of life?
It's a way of life in that it's discipline. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you physical control. If you have the ability to cause a lot of harm to someone, you should have the control not to. And it's the same thing day to day. You and I spend more time talking than we do fighting. So if I can exercise the same kind of control with my body, but to my mind, that way, if you and I are having an argument, I'm not going to say things that I'll come to regret. And it's the same thing. If I get really angry and I punch someone and I don't stop punching them, that shows no control. I might have the skills to do that, but I don't have the control to stop myself doing that. And it's the same thing with our words. It's the same thing. I think mental discipline is so important. So we don't do things that we will regret later. I think temporary problems never need permanent solutions. So martial arts really teaches you that. It's like, okay, I have the skills to be able to do this, but I don't have to. I can choose not to do that. And I would say there's a philosophical element to the martial arts as well, which is very important. And it's, we want to be as peaceful as possible. The skills are there just in case. It is insurance. That is what martial arts is. It doesn't make me invincible. It just makes me, it gives me the physical and mental resilience to be able to fire back if I have to. But for the most part, it's to be able to adapt to a situation as well. So in martial arts, it's important that, if someone's going really hard, if I go really hard back, then we're probably both going to get hurt. If I'm softer, for instance, and slightly more relaxed, it's like fire, water, And I think it's very important that if I'm in a situation at work, if I work a 9 to 5, which I used to, if someone's very angry towards me, okay, maybe I can just bring down the tone of my voice and be as calm as possible. And that way I can resolve the situation mentally and with my words without having to cause harm to anyone. So that's how martial arts can really apply to everyday life. And it really is a way of life.
Okay, but you don't train this at martial arts. No one will train you to lower your tone of voice, right? It's just like how you apply martial art techniques to the everyday life.
So most martial arts schools will teach you that fighting is the last resort, but it tends to be the first thing they teach. We are far better talkers than we are fighters, for the most part. 99% of the population are better at talking than they are at fighting. And I would say, anytime anyone came to my classes, I would say, okay, let's work with what you already have. You can talk. So let's see how we can keep yourself calm under pressure. I want to be able to teach composure under pressure, but also I want to be able to help you with verbal jiu-jitsu. So you can talk your way out of a situation, because the last thing you want to do is fight someone, because you don't know what they're capable of. And
I mean, in the moment, maybe it's the first thing you want to do.
Yeah.
It's just like, I just want to punch you in your stupid face.
Yes.
It would be so nice. But
Absolutely.
you have no idea what happens next. Maybe you punch them in the face, they fall on the ground, hit the head, you're in jail.
Absolutely. We never want to create a permanent set of circumstances when we were temporarily emotionally compromised. That's not where we want to be. So if I'm angry in the moment, I know hitting this guy was going to feel so good, but he might press charges. Like you said, now I have a criminal record. And over what? You know what I mean? And for the most part, most fights on the street happen over ego. So if you don't have an ego, if you remove that element, if I bump into someone and someone gets really angry at me for some reason, hey, my mistake.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, but here's there's a question for you as someone who can punch someone in the face effectively. Like, where is there should be a limit to everything. Should be a limit to how, like, when you start fighting, but also there should be a limit to how far can you go in apologizing.
I agree.
Yeah. So where is the limit for you, do you think?
I would say if I am in physical danger, up until the point you and I are talking now, up until the point you throw a punch at me,
Yeah.
that is when I would have to do something.
Yeah.
But until that point, you and I can stay civil. I can still talk to you. Even if you're super angry at me, I will stay civil until maybe I can spot the signs before you're about to hit me or grab me. And I used to work in security, so that was one thing that we used to watch out for. You know, non-verbal communication, so body language. And it's like, are they fiddling around a lot? Do they have something on them? And, you know, you develop an instinct for when that's about to happen. And I'd say it's always important to train when you don't want to so you can fight when you have to. So these attributes are important because that's why I wrote the book, The Martial Heart, to begin with, because I feel that these skills are neglected. I can teach you all these techniques, but you need to be able to compose yourself under pressure, stay calm, but also, have you done absolutely everything to avoid the situation before it escalated to a physical confrontation? Have you done absolutely everything? And if you have, and you still have to fight, okay, then you've got to do what you got to do. But if you haven't, and maybe you said a few things that made the situation worse, okay, you know. And that's why I think it's important to be mindful of what we say and think before we talk. And these are things that I wanted to put in the book because anyone who's ever come to my classes, these would be the first things that I would teach. And because I don't teach as much as I used to, I thought if I can put this in a book, then at least the first few lessons of what I would teach people are already there. So they have access to that. And these are skills that you don't need me to be present for. You don't need me to teach you physically how to stay calm under pressure or how to talk to someone. These are things that we can practice day to day.
This book, where can we find it?
It's on Amazon.
It's Martial Heart?
Yes.
Yes, it's on Amazon. What else can you tell about this book to people who are listening right now and don't know what they will get? What else will they learn from your book?
It also has traditional values that you can apply to daily concepts. So, for instance,
the traditional values of what? From that's coming from where?
From traditional martial arts. So that is my background. And there is a traditional martial arts code of conduct. For instance, show up on time, be respectful, be understanding of others. These are things that we can apply day to day. For instance, make sure you're clean. Make sure you shower, because if you are going to grapple with someone, you're going to be in very close proximity. If I'm going to be in a meeting with people, it helps to be clean so they don't smell too bad. So these are things that we can apply to our daily lives already. Other things in the book are training methods. For instance, if you train in boxing, for instance, okay, in a real life situation, you might have to deal with multiple attackers. Have you tried sparring multiple attackers?
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard.
So it teaches you situational awareness, and that's something that's also very important. So I'm having to deal with you right now. How tall are you? How much do you weigh? Let's say you attack me. How much could I give to the police right now? So eye color, hair color, tattoos, scars.
And
accent.
you're aware of those things like constantly, all the time.
It's important to be as present as possible.
Yeah.
And the best way we can be present is to focus on our breathing, to be mindful of our breathing. Because if we're scared, suddenly our breathing, if we're nervous, for instance, our breathing changes. And that's something that's also in the book. How do we compose ourselves under pressure? Because you could learn 1,000 techniques, but if you don't know how to stay calm, they're useless. And you might do something wrong. And I think if you stay calm, you are more objective. And if you're more objective, you're more likely to see the bigger picture. Now, if I'm with a girlfriend or, my nieces or my nephews or anyone like that, then my skill has to extend to their safety. So I can't escalate this situation because I need to make sure that they're safe. My priority is to get them away from danger. So a lot of it is thinking about the bigger picture as well. If I did have to fight this person, where is it going to land me? Are they, where am I at? Have I just finished work and now he's outside waiting for me? Or, great, now he knows where I work. Or, okay, he might follow me home. And most fights happen at a time of their choosing, never of yours, unless you're the one picking the fight, which I would never advise. So it will always be, them attacking you will always be a surprise for you. So that's why you have to stay as aware as possible, not just of the situation, but of how you are at the time as well. But in the book, I also talk about other training methods, like how much physical conditioning do you do? Do you train on even ground, or do you train outside where the ground is uneven? What time of day do you train at? Have you eaten? These are factors that play into daily self-awareness, self-defense. And I think it's important to keep those things in mind. So if I've eaten a lot today, now I leave and suddenly someone wants to start yelling at me. I might want to throw up if he hits me. So these are things that we have to be very mindful of. Uh-huh. So I would say with the book, if you are a beginner to martial arts, this book is for you. However, if you are a martial artist who's been training for a while, there are still things from the book that you can benefit from. So how you breathe, for instance. Now, one thing, I used to work as a psychologist. So formerly I was the psychologist for the Saudi Arabian national taekwondo team, where you would have these athletes who are amazing when they are training. Of course, when you are competing, it's very different. But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be different, but it is, because the conditions have changed. You're in a different environment. There's an audience watching. These are all things that we don't prepare ourselves for enough. So if I do public speaking, okay, I've practiced everything I'm going to say perfectly. Fantastic. Then I stand and, okay, there's like 100 people watching me. Uh-oh. Oh my gosh. And then you forget what you say. So it's always important to prepare. Preparedness is everything. And I'd say the more prepared you are, the more of an insurance that acts for you. So same thing with martial arts. You're training for a fight that might never happen. And if it doesn't happen, great. If it does happen, you're prepared for it for the most part. But if it doesn't happen, great. You are still training to be physically healthy and mentally healthy. And also meditation. These are things that I put in the book, which I live by. So there's nothing in the book that I don't do myself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Tell me more about breathing. I've heard a lot, that we really don't know how to breathe correctly. Is it true?
Very true. So, when you're nervous and suddenly you feel really sick, and okay, your breathing becomes very shallow, and any food that you've eaten, your brain disengages your stomach, so the food just sits there, so your stomach feels heavier, your hands get clammy, and your nervous system changes. It's like, oh gosh, there's nothing wrong with your stomach. Your brain just needs to re-engage it according to how you breathe. Mm-hmm. So I always say to people, return your breathing back to what it is when it's relaxed. So if you are hungry, you eat. If you are thirsty, you drink. If you are nervous or anxious or afraid, you have to breathe. And I would always advise the people, make sure that your exhales are longer than your inhales. Otherwise, you'll choke. Mm-hmm. So a good inhale and a really long exhale. And take as many as you need to. I always do this right before, when I used to do security. If there's a lot of trouble going on, okay. And to everybody else, it just looks like I'm fed up. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, he's fed up. Let's go do it. Yeah. But what I'm actually doing is calming myself down, because real danger is there. I have to make sure that I'm calm under pressure whilst I deal with a real dangerous situation, as opposed to dealing with this dangerous situation when I'm scared. Fear is very much a choice. Danger is real, But how you choose to respond to fear becomes a choice according to how you breathe.
I think, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but to me it feels like it's a choice when you actually have a set of skills to have it as a choice. Because if you don't have, like, if you don't have any, even martial arts background, or you don't know how it feels to be punched in the face, or anything, like, you don't have this choice, it just kicks in. And you can't control it if you don't know how.
Which is why that comes down to preparedness. So showing up to training, you're already doing it. You're already doing it. And training is not going to be comfortable. It should never be comfortable. So you become accustomed and you acclimate towards a difficult situation. And I would say, absolutely, if you don't know, most people don't know what they don't know. So I think it's always important to educate ourselves on the real dangers that are out there. So, somebody got attacked the other day. Okay, whereabouts? What kind of attack was it? And it's good to be able to, I think it's important to be social, because then you can see different types of people. This person might have this condition, this person might have that, or this person, we are different every single day. Today, you're having a good day. I tell you a joke, you find it funny. Let's say you were having a bad day and I tell you the same joke. You might not find it funny at all. So we're different every single day, and we have to be empathetic towards that, especially in the workplace. Most of us are probably working a 9 to 5. It's probably more common to be working in a 9 to 5 than we are street fighting. So we can apply those principles. If someone's having a bad day at work, it really helps to be understanding. Otherwise, if I clash with you, it just makes the work environment so much worse.
I've been in situations, because I worked in the office like my whole life, and at some point I realized that if I'm writing an angry email, I shouldn't send it straight away. Send it in 3 hours, but read it first.
Yes.
And most of the time, you will cut a lot of it.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, sometimes I still kind of wasn't in control enough, and I did send some emails that I regretted later. I was like, yeah, it's like
100%.
It was very not constructive to include this sentence there for sure.
I've been there. I worked in an office for years where I would send all staff emails. I would write them out first, and I would come back to it, maybe take a minute or two, go outside, take a few breaths, calm down a little, come back in, reread the email, remove the swear words, and remove the people I'm tagging in the email. Yeah, let's be professional. Yeah, I think that's so important. Let's be professional, because a year from now, no one's going to remember that email unless I was really rude about it. I never want to jeopardize relationships over how I'm currently feeling. Yeah, and it's too easy to do that. You might be having a bad day, and you might have said something pretty mean. Okay, if you gave me a birthday present or a Christmas present that doesn't have my name on it, it's got someone else's name on it, I won't take it. I can't take it. It's not for me. Same thing. If you throw an insult at me, I can choose not to accept it. It's like, okay, I can be understanding of it. But it's tough to do that, and I think it's very much catching yourself before you react. It's always better to respond than it is to react.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I know that for sure, of course. So those are also the skills that you could find in the book.
100%.
Okay.
If, for instance, you and I are going to do a boxing sparring match, I am certain you're a far better boxer than I am. You'll go easy on me. You will go easy
no,
on me.
I'm not. But it's very kind of you.
I'm sure you would go easy on me. Because if you've been boxing longer than I have, you are more senior to me, and you will have more experience than I will. So we'll start light, and as I get better, you'll up your level too. And that's very much how it is.
Yeah.
It's like if I catch a couple hits on you, you let me. And that's okay. It's the same thing day to day, It's you might say something, I might say something. If if I'm super intelligent, for instance, and I have a background in, I don't know, quantum physics, and you say something that might not be accurate, I won't throw the whole science at you. I will say, I will meet you halfway. Say, okay, I understand why you might think that. Okay, I believe the science says. I think the science research says this, and this, which is why I think it is this way as opposed to this way. But I get what you're saying. So there's a way to be better communicators, and martial arts is a great way to do that. I'm not going to drown you on your first class. You know, nobody learns anything from that, and then you won't come the next time.
That's true.
So I think it's always important to know where people are. We are all at different stages of our lives, different stages of our training. And for instance, if I were to do a competition now, you know, of course I would, if I go to a kickboxing class, I would start from the very beginning. I'm okay with it. It doesn't matter if I have a background in that. If I go to another school, I will put on a white belt and start again. However, if it's a competition, it would not be fair for me to do that because I've been training 31 years and the person that I would be fighting has been training for, let's say, 2 years, twice a week. So if I beat them, that's not a victory for me at all. If I lose, I just lost against a guy who's been training for 2 years and maybe only twice a week. Gosh, I need to take this back to the drawing board. But we are all at different stages of our training, and it's important that we understand that about each other. And we're at different stages of our lives. So some things that you might say, I might disagree with, or I might agree with, and it's just finding common ground and understanding where we come from.
And also I think it's very important to remember sometimes that maybe there is no point arguing about anything at all with this particular person.
Absolutely.
Because what are you gaining from it?
Absolutely. It's not the hill you want to die on.
Yeah.
So
because on the internet, someone is always wrong.
Yes. Oh, you know, so this year I joined Reddit. Wow. I don't comment, I just read. Yeah. Wow. And sometimes when you see comments on Instagram or YouTube, gosh, it's, you felt the need to do that, to say that, you know, and most people, they don't think anything more of it. They'll troll and then yeah, you know, and it's not getting drawn into that. Certainly some things that some interviews that I've done before on YouTube or any martial art videos that I've helped to explain, you'll always get people in the comments who disagree with you. Yeah. And that's fine. If you provide more context, okay. I understand what you're saying. Let me see if we can come to an understanding. The reason why I said this in this particular way was this. Maybe I could have worded that better. So I will do better next time. And it's important to know what our limitations are. And if I don't know the answer, I don't know the answer. I won't pretend to.
Yeah. Okay, so I know that you're also participated in the program Fight Like a Girl.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about this program? What is it?
So my friend Sifu Della O'Sullivan, who I regard to be a real-life superhero, she founded Fight Like a Girl, which is a women's self-defense initiative. And she teaches from personal experience, which is powerful. And of course, she is 5 foot. And most attackers would be bigger than her, stronger than her. So a lot of things that she teaches are, you know, situational awareness, reading non-verbal cues, body language, but also being able to capitalize on the element of surprise. So these are things that I am absolutely on board with. People's safety is something that I am a firm believer in because certainly when I used to work in education, it wasn't required of me, but I would always tell students, just be careful, okay, these things are happening, just be aware that this could happen as well, be aware of the situations. So teaming up with Della, who is a very good friend of mine, fantastic. And I think Fight Like a Girl, there are more workshops being planned, and anytime that I can join in and help teach, I'm always honored to. It's not always possible due to scheduling, but I'm always happy to help out where I can.
And well, realistically, what kind of skills are there in those courses? Because realistically, if we think about like average man and average woman,
Yes.
men are on average stronger.
Yes.
And I'm guessing one of the best skills is just to avoid the actual fight and learn how to escape without going into it. Is
Absolutely
correct? Yeah.
However, a lot of these attacks will happen, and it's like, well, she was dressed like this, so I felt, you know how it is, and it's not right.
Yeah.
However, most people don't act a lot of people don't act in the right way when they are drunk or whatever, and it's not good. And the thing is with women's self-defense is you do have the element of surprise. Most guys, if they pull a girl closer, okay, sorry, your groin is exposed. Give them what they want, but not the way they want it.
Yeah.
That is one of the best things. So they want that to have a bit of action. Okay, you'll give them a bit of action, but not the way they want it. And these courses actually really help women just to be a bit more aware of what's happening. And for the most part, a lot of the women who sign up, they all have some kind of personal experience. So they've been there, they know what the signs are. And now they are just signing up to a course that gives them more skills and attributes to be able to deal with a situation like that. I love that so much because what are they doing? They're preparing. They're preparing for a worst case scenario. And that's why we have insurance. I love that concept, and I think it's so important and it's empowering for women as well to know that they possess the element of surprise for one, but also skills to be able to capitalize on the element of surprise to be able to get away safely.
And I think it's important to remember, I might be wrong though, but I think most men are not fighters. Most men are just, they like, even a little punch in your face sometimes puts you in shock.
Absolutely.
So if you prepare for something like that, like most men really won't be expecting any fight back, right? So which already can give a lot. But it's better to avoid the situation if you can.
Absolutely. And I think with how people dress as well, certainly if I go outside wearing very little, just a vest top, in this weather, people are going to look at me. So,
you're a very big and muscular guy.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I try so hard. So,
I mean, your biceps is bigger than my head.
Oh, you're very kind of you to say. I've downsized a lot, but I think with it's having that self-awareness. So if you're going on a night out, you be aware that people will probably stare at you. I do think, of course, nobody should attack you according to really, they really shouldn't. But I also think it's important to not meet trouble halfway. If I know if I go through a bad neighborhood with £1,000 in cash, people should not mug me. They should not attack me. It doesn't mean they won't. So I think it's important that we are self-aware as well. What kind of establishment am I going into tonight? What kind of place, what kind of people does this place normally attract? It's important to do that. And I think for the most part, there is safety in numbers as well. And you don't want to be by yourself out. When I used to do security, I would see, okay, girls' night out. Then we would see football game just ended, so some of the lads are there. And you get a couple regulars who are there just to have a drink. And then you got a couple guys who you don't recognize. Okay. Or some guys who just don't quite fit in, and you watch them. You just watch how they watch other people. Okay. Are they by themselves or are they with an accomplice? So you become a bit more of a detective. Now, when I was younger, one of my martial arts instructors who he trained the special forces. So I learned what I do from him. And he would take me out to watch people. Who would you attack and why? Would you attack this person? Okay, so yeah, I would attack this person. Why? Well, this person, they've got their headphones in, they're not listening. Well, they're not aware of the situation.
Yeah.
And they're on their phone a lot. Great, easy target. He goes, okay, why are you going to attack them? Are you hungry? Are you desperate? Are you a bad person? All of those things. So if we can get into the mindset of a would-be attacker, then I can also prevent myself from being attacked for the most part. 9 times out of 10, if I can get into the mindset of the attacker, okay, I'm going to attack you today because you've got your headphones in, you're going to walk down this dark alleyway. Great. Fantastic. So me as the victim, maybe I don't have my headphones in and walk with my phone, watching my phone, and maybe I don't walk down this alleyway as a shortcut. So I can prevent those things almost instantly. But it's having that additional thought of, is there danger here? And that's something that I do think about a lot, especially if I'm with people who are not martial artists, people who are not fighters. My awareness has to extend to them as well. Now, if I live by 3 main principles. So 1, I accept myself wholeheartedly. 2, I accept everything that I do, past, present, future. I accept responsibility for everything that I do. And 3, this is the hardest one, respect the free will of others. You are an adult. You can choose what you want to do. So I might give you my thoughts, but I won't stop you from doing anything. Now, let's say you drink a lot and you're about to get into a car and you're about to drive home. That's when I'm going to have to intervene because you are not of sound mind anymore. So these are things that we have to be aware of. Somebody got a bit too touchy. Okay, that's not okay. And I've called out people I've been out with before. A couple guys got a bit too drunk and I say to them, dude, just be careful. I think when we drink, we are not overly self-aware. We might say a few things that we might come to regret later on. And that's where martial arts comes in. We want to exercise control and know what the limit is. And that's really important. And that's also really difficult. But these are not skills that come overnight. They are skills that we take time to practice.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. All right. So we talked a little bit about the martial arts as a way of life. Now, question about martial arts is punching people in the face. Which martial art is the best to punch someone in the face?
Probably boxing.
Yeah.
It's
or kick.
I mean, I think you've got the striking arts. You've got Thai boxing, kickboxing, karate, and Taekwondo as well. You have a lot of these different striking arts which are fantastic. I would say my favorites really depend on the day. It's like, okay, it's cold at the moment. It's the winter months. I am unlikely to want to kick above the waist because I have to warm up a bit more to be able to do that. And so maybe I practice something where I kick someone lower and then I do something else. But I always think it's important to diversify our training. So there's a lot of controversy about Aikido, about the efficacy of Aikido. The principles of Aikido are great because I think it can't be the only thing you know. You might be very good at one thing, but it cannot be the only thing you know. I think if you are a martial artist, you have to be a fan of the martial arts. So you might have one main style, but it's important to add other stuff in. So you might have Aikido awareness, so you're aware of multiple attackers. You have a bit of jiu-jitsu there. And if you have to strike, hey, there's a lot of different styles you could do there. Know how to throw a punch. And it's important to exercise what we do according to how we feel. So I train according to how I feel. I used to wake up at 4 a.m. just to train. It was maybe 20 minutes. You know what? Train at your worst. See what you can actually do. I'm in a dark room, visibility is low, and my technique will not be sharp at all. And I might not be overly warm, but in a real life situation, you won't have time to warm up. So what can you do? Okay, if I'm going to a class to train, there's a warm up. Great. I know what I can do when I'm at my best. What about when I'm at my worst? What if I'm sick? What if it's dark? I've had a long day and I've got a bag on my shoulder. Okay, let's say there's three of them. How am I going to deal with that? It's so important that we give ourselves these training scenarios. So I used to train with a radio in the background, and I would do some bag work and then take a little break, see how much of that radio I could remember from the stories. So when I'm doing security, having to deal with different people, if I have to wrestle a few people, I can still hear what's going on around me. Did someone break a bottle behind me? How close is that? Is someone saying something else? Oh, go attack, do something to him, smack him or something like that. You never know. It's always good to have that 360 awareness. So I'm not just dealing with you. I'm also aware of people that might be around me. And there is not one martial arts style that really effectively addresses all of those things, which is why you need to do as much as you can and be a fan of the martial arts, be a real nerd so that you can learn as much as you can from different perspectives, from different people, from all walks of life. So back to your question about what the best style to punch and kick someone in the face, really depends on the day.
Nice. Okay. Do you remember any kind of worst cases of like what happened while you were working as security?
There's been a few. Yeah. There's been a few. Now, the danger is not usually on shift. It's normally when you finish your shift and you're tired. It's 3 a.m, 4 a.m. You're walking back to your car. You're tired. You want to be in bed already because you have another job to go to in 6 hours, maybe less. Oh, okay. So then you're walking back to your car and then there's a group of them waiting by your car. I'm still going to count that as lucky, okay? Because you could be far less lucky. You could get in the car, put on your seatbelt, and now they come at you. So it's just being aware of that situation. Now, I would say real combat is premeditated. They have sat together in a room and discussed where they're going to attack you. They've looked at your routine, what time you finish work, who you're normally with. Okay, let's do that. At this time, we were all agreed, 5 of us are going to meet up and we're going to attack him. And we're going to have weapons and we're going to have masks. So I would say that is a worst case scenario.
Though those things happen to you.
Maybe not in so much, not in so much capacity, but I would say certainly people would wait by your car or wait near your car. Okay, they might not do anything. Now they know what car you're in. Okay, so the next night, you park your car in the same place, they know which car it is, they might do something to your car. Now, okay, you come back to your car, it's like, okay, my tires, what happened here? As you go down to examine your tires, now you've got people behind you. So it's having that awareness. No, what I used to do was, as soon as I finished a shift, I would have some coffee, sit down, maybe wait 15 minutes, wait for that coffee to kick in. And then, okay, now I'm alert. Now I can... The real test is walking back to your car unscathed. That is the real danger there. On shift, your adrenaline's high anyway. You are already in a high-pressured environment where there is danger, so you are aware. You are always aware. As soon as you finish that, that is when you are at risk. I'd say the worst cases is multiple attackers with weapons when you were not expecting it. Those are the worst cases, especially if you're with someone who isn't as capable of protecting themselves as you are. So your skills need to be able to take care of them too. So I'd say to people, look, when you're training in martial arts, it's also important to have some kind of security or bodyguard training just as a side interest, so you are aware of them as well. Okay, you're holding their hand. Which hand are you holding in? Which is your strongest hand? It's all of these factors that we have to take into account, and it's really difficult. So one of my instructors, he worked as a bodyguard for years, so I got to learn this from him firsthand as well. There's a lot of factors you have to take into account. if these people who attack you have weapons, what kind of weapons? Are they blunt? Are they sharp? Are they projectile? Gosh, you just don't know. And it's having this additional instinct, and it's really tough to have that on at all times and not be paranoid. That is one of the issues that I find a lot of people have after a fight. They become overly paranoid. They look over their shoulders and, okay, what do I do next? Do I leave town? Do I move house? All of those things, just because you got into one fight. And they always have friends. It's never where you want to be.
Yeah. Fighting against someone who has a knife, how bad of an idea is it?
If you are in a situation, I know people say run, but sometimes you can't run. You are in a corner, you've been backed into a corner, or sometimes it comes from behind. That's why you need to just be aware as humanly possible when you're out. I would say with any kind of knives, you don't need to be skilled to cause damage. That's the worrying thing. If someone just wants to hit you, someone just wants to throw punches at you, okay, I can defend myself pretty well, and then they'll get tired, and then, oh, okay, now you're tired. However, if someone's got a knife, doesn't matter. It's what angle or what experience they have. It's deadly either way. And I would say, if you are working in security, you have to act quickly. You have to be very quick and know what you're doing. Training certainly helps, but you can't, with no training, you can't improvise that. You need to have some training just to give you an idea. Training with knives gives you an idea of the psychology behind why someone would carry one. For the most part, sometimes people do it just for a bit of power because they love it. So understanding the psychology of why someone carries something helps. I was to say train. And I think a lot of different styles like Filipino martial arts as well as Indonesian martial arts, they do train with knives and teach knife defense. And for the most part, of course, when you're training, it's not a live situation. It's always a bit of fun. And you get the knives that when they tap you, they make a sound. Mm-hmm. Okay, I got you. Let's examine where I got you. It's tough. It's really, really tough. I would say there is no one answer that is right for every situation. You just have to be aware and try to prevent that as much as you can, and know what the signs are if someone might be carrying something, or if they're in a group of friends. If they're in a group and you never know. You just never know. And sometimes it is body language. They are fiddling a bit too much, and it's like, what are you checking for? Are you checking to see something still there, or are you checking because there's something that you just want access to very quickly and you're nervous about it too? What's that about? So, when I used to work in security, or when I used to work I used to work at this college, and some people would bring knives to college. I was like, and it's reading body language. What's changed about you from yesterday? So I would say, look, awareness is the most important thing, and just being aware and not letting my own mind get the better of me, so I can stay present in what's actually happening.
Mm-hmm. And then, how did you get into the film industry?
As a kid, it was always a dream to play a superhero in films, and if I couldn't play a superhero, I'll play a super villain. I mean, I grew up watching cartoons and reading comic books, and Batman, Superman, all of those things, and Iron Man, Spider-Man, I love them all. X-Men. Mm-hmm. And, it's... Batman, for instance, he has a martial arts background. So I was like, oh, So aside from the trauma that he went through, I actually have a similar kind of martial arts background. Oh, that's really cool. Okay. And I think, like I said earlier, martial arts splits into three main categories. You've got fighting, health, and performance. Hey, I will train for health and be strong. I will train to fight if I have to, but I'll perform for a living. So I used to do a lot of live shows, which, lion dances and just any kind of event where they wanted a martial arts demonstration. I did a bunch of those. And I thought, hey, people used to say, why don't you just do the movies, So back in, I always loved acting, I always wanted to be an actor. Mm-hmm. But back in 2010, my brother saw a casting, open casting. Are you Asian and do you want to be in a film? It's like, I hope this is the kind of film that I want to be a part of, because that sounds a little weird. So yeah, we signed up and we went to where did we go? We went to London just to. They took some photos of us and they said, yeah, we'll probably see you on set, but we'll get in touch with you. And it was for Keanu Reeves' 47 Ronin. Oh my gosh. So they invited me in for an audition. And I had just finished studying at the time, so I had lots of free time. Let's do this. And the audition was just a bit of sword fighting. Great. Okay. I used to play fight with my brother a lot. In addition to training, we used to play fight a lot and we used to watch films and reenact the situation and maybe different choreography and just because I couldn't do everything Jackie Chan could do, so I would make it up. You see what I mean? And my brother would react, and then we'd swap over, and we'd take turns being the hero. And okay, when it came to doing an audition, this is fine. We're not hurting each other, or we shouldn't be hurting each other. So it's just choreography. I've been doing that my whole life. No problem. Now this time, there's just people examining you. Okay. And they liked me enough to bring me back for boot camp where they trained us for 2 weeks, which was amazing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, got to do 3 months of night shoots from 4 p.m. till 4 a.m. For 3 months, it was tough. I remember, and it was cold. I remember thinking, I don't know if this is for me. I do want to pursue it, because I've seen some of the other guys who are a bit further down the line than I am. Certainly they are further in their careers than I am, because I'm just starting. Okay, they seem to be pretty happy. Maybe if I work hard enough, I can get to that position as well. So I wanted to pursue more film work, and I did a lot of student films, a lot of indie projects, love them all. I still keep in touch with a lot of students I worked with 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And anytime I saw my friends doing big commercials, TV, film, I was always so happy for them, because, hey, if it can happen for them, I can work as hard as well and get to that position too. So anytime the stunt coordinators from 47 Ronin, if they had a big job, for instance, they would call me. My niche was I'm a large Asian who can move. So that was always something and I was nice as well, and reliable. So that's something that really helps. And of course, that feeds back to the martial arts code of conduct. Be kind, be understanding, be reliable, show up on time. These are all things that we can apply to daily life. So yeah, I just jumped from one job to another, but I still had a day job, 9 to 5. So if there was a film job, I would just take time off work to go do that. And I remember in 2018, went to work on Monday. On the Tuesday, I did Fast and Furious. I got thrown over the table by The Rock. And I got home at 1 in the morning, and at 8 o'clock in the morning, I was back at my desk at work with a tattoo I couldn't wash off and bruising everywhere. So yeah, I remember thinking, one day I will do this for a living. Yeah. One day, I just don't know when that is. And a year later, I did Marvel Eternals. I'd done some other smaller jobs in between, but Marvel Eternals was the first time I had been someone's stunt double.
Yeah.
And being someone's stunt double requires you to be of a similar kind of build, but also you have to move in a similar way to them. Now, the guy I doubled for, Don Lee, who is one of my heroes, I love him. He is a boxer and he's incredible. You know, he moves so fluidly, especially for someone of his size and build.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'm a southpaw, naturally, but I'm just as bad on the other side. So I need to up my game here and be able to emulate him as much as I can. So martial arts is all about being able to adapt to a situation. I need to be able to imitate this guy as best as I possibly can. And that does come with some challenges because he also has injuries from a lifetime of fighting, a lifetime, because he came from a stunt background too. So I have to accommodate for those things. He might walk a certain way. His arm might be, he might have an injury there, you know, and so these are all things that we have to take into account. Ultimately, I always wanted to be an actor, but I kept on with the stunt work. And ultimately, I thought, right, the end goal, I will do as much stunt work as I can, and eventually I will transition into the acting. And I was still doing independent films as an actor. So sometimes I would say no to a stunt job so that I could do smaller films because they were going to give me 2 lines of dialogue. I'll do that, you know, it's because it's good experience. So I was always doing self-tapes at home, just practicing by myself. Looking back, they were terrible, but it's good practice. And after that, it was April 2022, I got an email from a casting company in LA saying, we'd love for you to read for a role if you're interested. And there was no details about this production just yet because it had just been greenlit. So there wasn't a lot of information. I thought, okay, I'll do the self-tapes. And this went back and forth for maybe about a month. And then they said, it was April 29th, I remember. I got the call from Jenny, the casting director, saying, John, you got the job, you got the role. And you know, I think there was about a minute where I didn't say anything. Apparently it was only like a moment. Yeah. It was like a brief moment, but for me it was an eternity. I was like, I don't think I've said anything in like a minute. I believe that was the happiest day of my life. And not afraid to admit, I was like, oh, amazing. Oh, thank you so much. And she says, yeah, we'll just get your visa process. We'll start with your visa process and everything.
So was it in America?
Yes.
Filmed in America, okay.
Of course, as soon as I hung up, I cried and cried and cried. I'm not afraid to admit that because, I'm a crier. When I watch a film, it's like, oh, yeah, there it is. But you know what? It was when I went to LA to meet, to work, I said to the casting director, I said to Jenny, how on earth did you find me? I'm not on Spotlight, don't have an agent. And she says, I saw you on someone else's showreel. I'm like, whose showreel? Because I need to send that person flowers. Yeah. She goes, I don't remember. So you never know who's watching. And I think when you are not working in your craft, you need to be working on your craft. You need to stay busy. Because when that job comes, you want to be the right person for it. And if you do nothing, that opportunity will come and go. Mm-hmm. So I always think it's so important that we stay in the moment. We are training. It's like I'm training for a fight that will never happen for the most part. And if it happens, I'm prepared for it. I'm training for the role that I don't know about yet. So I'll find a script or I'll watch Big Bang Theory. I'll find the script from that. I'll try some of Sheldon's lines, and they're really difficult.
I know, right? I think those series and for Friends like Chandler or How I Met Your Mother,
yes.
Those are those lines are only funny when this particular actor knows how to deliver them. And Sheldon especially I think it's a very, very tricky role.
He is amazing. He is so amazing. When you have an actor Jim Parsons, who plays Sheldon, my gosh, he is just incredible.
Yeah.
And when you see some of the other actors, if you look at Owen Wilson, for instance, who does comedies, then you watch him in something like No Escape, which is one of my favorite films where it's a serious role. It's like, oh, he can bring it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So as an actor, you have to be a chameleon. I can put you in any room and you can fit in.
I think, to a degree, yes, but I don't think there's so many actors who can actually be chameleons. There's most actors just, you want, like, they are kind of like, they have this, like, a range that is not maybe even this big, but like you just need to find a puzzle where they fit in perfectly well.
Of course.
Because if we're talking about, like, talking about the Big Bang Theory, Kelly Cuoco, I think she made Penny amazing, because she, like, how many times do you see how she can, even like her reaction to those guys?
Yes.
They're nerds, and even when she is sarcastic with them, like, it's kind of coming from a good place.
Yes.
Not from, you know, like, just being like an awful person to them. So I think it does play a huge difference. And a lot of actors is still kind of, I can't be you. I would never be able to play any role as you would do it, and
likewise,
vice versa.
likewise,
So
yeah.
I think
I do
being
say
chameleon
that.
is amazing, but knowing yourself enough to at least be yourself on camera, realistically and
I agree.
interesting. Yeah.
You're right, because not everyone is right for the role. You know what I mean? And I think certainly I've seen roles that, you know, it might be sex trafficker number 3. I'm like, you know, you know, this might not be for me. And I think it's being conscious, it's having that self-awareness and knowing where your limitations are as well, and how far you're willing to go. But also, I'd say it's good to challenge yourself out, push yourself out, because certainly, if you looked at my CV, my employment history, you think, this guy has no idea what he wants to do with his life. But, you know, I'm grateful for that, because that's given me a lot of life experience. Now, in Brother Son, episode 4, I pay off Bruce's tuition in a really obnoxious way. He's in trouble because he's in debt and they're going to kick him out, and he hasn't paid. So my character brings out a bunch of cash, slams it on the table and say, keep the change. And for the record, we are sorry. So, okay. When I used to work in education, I used to work in student services. I've been on the receiving end of that. Mm-hmm. This guy, I believe he was an uncle, came in and just gave a load of cash and just walked out. This should cover it. And walked out. It was so obnoxious. But I knew I could channel that. Mm-hmm. So I'd say, I think when you work in different jobs, when you have different, you can bring life experience to that job, to the acting job. And I think that's so important to be able to do that, to draw from that. And it's like, so I'll do self-tapes, practice self-tapes. I think action is an obvious genre for me. Coming from a martial arts background and a stunt background, it's an obvious genre. However, I like comedy too. I like sci-fi. I love Star Trek. So I'll try delivering some of those lines, and it's actually really difficult. But I'm a nerd. I love it. I really love that stuff. So, okay, this is how this character delivers the line. Let's see how I would deliver the line in this context, in this environment. And it's always a bit different. Mm. But I love that. And I think now, I think when Brother Son came out, I got an agent from that who helped me get an agent here in the UK as well, which is great. But it didn't stop me I never became complacent. I think it's always important to chase after the next thing as well, whilst enjoying the moment. You can be happy with your accomplishments and everything you've achieved, but let's look at what we do next. And I think we constantly live in the past, present, future. The past tells me where I came from and helped me get to where I am now. Where I am now will determine where I go next. I think it's so important that, okay, might take a bit of a break here, but let's see how far we can push it. So I know when people talk about their comfort zone, there's nothing wrong with the comfort zone, but the rent on my comfort zone is very expensive. I need to earn my time to be in my comfort zone. But and I think with actors, the right opportunities are out there. You just have to keep working on it. So when you're not working in your craft, you should always be working on your craft. And not now doesn't mean not ever. And I think the job that's going to get you further ahead, you are not even aware of that job. It's still in pre-production. They're still writing it. And when they come to casting for that role, if you keep working, you will become the right person for that job. It's just keeping your head down for the grind, but your chin up for a healthy mind.
I love it. So, if we're talking about the 47 Ronin, have you had a chance to work with Keanu Reeves, or he was somewhere?
I didn't get to work with him directly, but night shoots when you have 500, 600 supporting artists, there's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of moving parts to this, and I remember being stood next to this fire bin just to stay warm, and Keanu Reeves walked up to me. Hey man, how's it going? I'm good, how are you? You couldn't believe just how normal he is and how nice he is. And when I told him this was my first film, he goes, oh, wow, how are you finding it? Is this something you want to do more of? It's like, wow, he actually cares, and every night I went back to see if he'd be there. For about a week, he would come over and chat to me for maybe 5 minutes.
Nice.
And he was just super lovely.
Yeah.
And of course, that was 2011, 2010. And then in 2022, randomly, I'm in downtown. We're not on set or anything, but me and Alison, who is part of the costume department, she is taking me to a place where they can measure me for a jacket, which they need to adjust. We're in the elevator. We go up one floor.
In LA?
In LA. Door opens. Elevator door opens. Keanu Reeves walks in. Okay. I'm not going to say anything because he's a private guy. I know it's him. As soon as I get out of the elevator, I'll just nod my head at him. So then Alison's saying to me, we need your jacket by tomorrow because you're filming tomorrow and you're filming next week as well. You've got 3 shoot dates with this jacket. It's like, oh, important jacket. Great. As I'm about to leave the elevator, Keanu Reeves says to me, hey, best of luck with your shoot. So I said to him, oh, thank you very much, Mr. Reeves. Actually, you and I worked together 11 years ago on 47 Ronin. You were so nice to me. It was my first job, and you're actually one of the reasons why I'm still in the game, so thank you so much. Said the whole thing in one breath. And he goes, 47 Ronin? Oh my God. I'm like, dude, you were so nice to me. He's like, oh man, I'm really happy to hear that, you're still doing this. I said, can I get a selfie with you? And he says, yeah. I get my selfie with him. I shake his hand, and the elevator door closed, and I collapsed. And
oh my God.
Alison said to me, wait, what? And she said to me, how did you stay so calm and composed? And I said to her, I've had 11 years to practice that. So
love it.
Yeah, because all my friends got selfies with him and I didn't. And I was one of the good ones that didn't keep my phone with me when I was on set, And yeah, it was I couldn't believe what fate would,
He seems like such a fantastic guy. And right now, because I'm a huge fan of Cyberpunk 2077.
Me too.
It's one of my it's really my favorite game ever. I just yesterday I was playing and I hear his voice so much in my ears right now.
Johnny Silverhand.
I love this game.
I loved Cyberpunk before they fixed the bugs.
Yes, but I play on PC.
Yeah.
So when it came out, it was very buggy, but you still could play it. And I was sometimes angry because I had to, play my save from 2 hours ago. But I loved it. I loved it so much, and I just can't. And Phantom Liberty just made it even better. So yeah, I hear his voice a lot now.
Amazing. With Cyberpunk, if the wall was a little bit pixelated, you could walk through it. Or you're on the skyscraper and you run and slide off when you hit the ground. Yes. You're still sliding. You know that?
Yeah.
When they fixed that, I was so upset. It's like system update. I'm like, well, okay. And then, they fixed all the bugs. I'm like,
Not all
no.
the bugs, but they were fixing the bugs for. But to be fair, like they did such a great job in
Yeah.
actually fixing the game.
And the music,
Oh my god, it's so good.
so good.
It's there are scenes that I just like rewatch sometimes on YouTube because it's just amazing. And the end of the game, there is no happy ending.
I know, right?
It's just
Yeah.
Anyways, I could talk about Cyberpunk for hours,
Me
because
too.
it's the only game, and I'm not proud to admit it. It's the only game in which I have almost 1,000 hours.
Wow. Gosh.
I know, yeah, because I was telling you before the podcast, the lockdowns were tough for me.
It came out at the right time,
Yes.
Cyberpunk, gosh. I think I've clocked 247.
Oh, it's still quite impressive, right?
Yeah, I play it on and off. I just run around the city. There's no more side missions. I just run around the city and I'll loot people and then sell it. And so I have lots of money that I can't buy anything with because there's nothing to buy.
No, all the cars. You already have all the cars and everything.
Yeah, but you don't get an achievement if you buy all the cars. I don't think. So I stopped bothering. It's
No, with games like Cyberpunk and Witcher 3, for example, it's just like at some point when you finished all the side quests and everything, it kind of becomes like a bit dead, and you're like, you know what? I'll start it from the beginning just so I have like the whole city of things happening around me,
Yes,
so I can.
yes.
So it just like feels alive. And sometimes you don't even like you start another run like a couple of months, then you have like a break for a few months, then you start playing again, and you don't even finish all the game. You just finish all the side quests.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'm good. And 3 months later, like I want to go back to the night city.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Did you ever play Deus Ex?
I couldn't get into it.
Really?
I played probably 10 hours. I have it like
That's a lot of hours.
and I was like, no, it's just not doing it for me.
I think if you, because I played Deus Ex first before Cyberpunk, because I played Deus Ex over the weekend, actually, just nostalgia.
Yeah.
And once you get used to the controls, it's it's still good. Still love it.
All right, let's get back to the film industry. So, on the Eternals, you were stunt double for Don Lee, and I'm guessing you spent a lot of time with them.
Yes.
How was the experience?
Just amazing. He is such a generous, kind, and hard-working guy, and you can learn so much from him because he's had such a long career in different jobs. And you know what? He used to do security too, exchanging a few stories. And he used to be a personal trainer, so we would talk about training a lot. And he is a powerhouse. He's so strong.
Yeah.
He's so strong. And his technique, his boxing is amazing.
Yeah.
You see him shadow boxing. Like, someone of your size moving as fluidly as you do, that's incredible. He's quick. But, he'd take me out for lunch and everything, and we'd order a lot. Yeah, he's a great guy, though. I learned so much from him.
Yeah.
And I would say, I think after Train to Busan, I just loved him. Yeah, so I know for Brother's Son, on the mood board for what the character wears, they actually use Donnelly as a reference. It's like, yes!
Nice. I'm thinking about Eternals right now, and I think at the moment there were a lot of critique about Eternals.
Yes.
Some people like, oh, this is not Marvel. I gotta say, I quite enjoyed it. I quite enjoyed it, and honestly, especially considering if you will try to compare it to some of the latest Marvel films, that some of them were not good. Some of them were not good at all. I think Eternals was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. I think Eternals, I mean, no film is perfect. There were parts of it I really enjoyed. Parts of it I thought, because I'd worked on it as well, it's like, oh, that's what we were doing. Oh, it makes sense. So I might be a little bit biased, but I enjoyed it too. I think it was very ambitious to have so many new characters. And I think as a series, it would have been. I think that you could explore the characters more in depth in a series. And I think for a film that's 2 hours, 2.5 hours, there were too many characters to. Yeah, but I got to work with Angelina Jolie as well. We got to train together.
Yeah. How was she?
What a lovely person.
Yeah.
Genuinely. She very assertive, knows what she wants, and she's been in the game for so long. It's you get, a lot of advice from her as well. And she's really hardworking, and when it came to training, she really put in a lot of time and effort into it, because of course she wants to make this look good too. Also a very generous person. She paid for a very expensive Halloween party for the cast and crew. And she was like, I just want people to know that I'm grateful for all their efforts. Yeah. It's like, oh, that really means a lot, What a nice person. And I think a lot of these celebrities, a lot of them are normal people, but some of them, like I would say Don Lee, for instance, he's a superhuman, that guy. He's like so down to earth, but larger than life.
I gotta say, I think that you look like a superhuman to a lot of us, including me, because you know so many disciplines, and I mean not just martial arts, but like you do so many things, psychology and training and martial arts. And then you write books, and then you write music, and then you're acting. So you know what? You're on the same train with those guys.
Thank you. That means a lot. I have a lot of free time, so I will explore. I will spend my free time as productively as I can. I mean, with music, for instance, it's just another form of expression. It's just another way I can express myself. So my album, Ether Reality, which is available on every streaming service, that is a diary without words. So anytime I hear any of the tunes, I know exactly what I went through at the time. And it's just like a time machine for me. I don't tell people what I went through at the time, because I think when people listen to it, I want them to go on their own journey. Now, that's really important to me. And music is an experience. Of course, I think with... I think when you enjoy one thing, you branch off to other things. If you love music, you love art. You try and learn how to do this, how to draw, how to sketch, how to shade. And then, what other forms of art are there? Cooking, Although I must say, most of the stuff I cook for myself is really basic. It's just the essentials. And... I have to eat for function and less so for taste, to look a certain way, especially if you have a job that requires you to look a certain way. I think for Brother Sun, I was 115 kilograms. And I knew if they renewed us for season 2, they would have brought me back for flashbacks when the character's younger and slimmer. Because Michelle Yeoh, her character makes a comment saying, back then you weren't so fat. Great. I always held on to that, because I thought, if they bring me back for season 2 for flashbacks, I will look younger and slimmer. So in September last year, when I knew when the show was going to come out roughly, I thought, right, I need to drop weight. Because if there's season 2 and they bring me back, I don't want them to have to wait for me to slim down. I will start the work now. So 4 months, 3.5 months, I would say. Probably about 3.5 months of just cutting weight. And I lost 22 kilos. And then when they didn't renew us, I thought, well, I've lost all this weight now, but I feel better.
Before we talk about how did it feel when it got cancelled, how did it feel to work on it? How was it to work with Michelle Yeoh?
Oh my gosh, she is like...
She's a legend.
Oh, right? She has a 40-year career, and all I could ask her was about Star Trek Discovery. You know what? Star Trek and Michelle Yeoh, the two things I love the most. And I think it was a dream come true. I think when the cast got announced for Brother Sun, I didn't know Michelle Yeoh was in it until it got announced.
Oh, really?
So it had been almost 2 months that I got the job. And they were working through my visa and everything, just getting that sorted. And then when it got announced in June, and I see Michelle Yeoh's face there, I thought, what? Oh, so, oh my gosh. And then I realized some of the dialogue that I have is to her. I thought, oh. Of course, when I flew out to LA, it was summer, so it was very hot, but it was a dream come true. You know, what actor doesn't want to go to Hollywood where, you know, you can see the sign from the studio. It's amazing. And I got to work with a lot of childhood heroes who worked on different martial art films and everything. And I got to meet a load of people and make new friends. And the experience was just overwhelming. And
did you, like, when you were in it, did you understand how big it is?
I don't think I did.
Yeah.
I think you can always think it will be, but you never know just how big it will be. And for me, it was because that was my first real mainstream acting credit. I thought, okay, gosh, no pressure. But I spent a lot of time with the stunt guys as well, and I was at the gym every day.
Did you have a stunt double?
I did not.
So you did your own stunts as well, yeah?
And I think for me to have a stunt double, one, if someone's going to get set on fire, I'm okay for someone else to do that. I don't have a problem with it. I just would prefer someone else to do that than me. I would say to have a stunt double, I would want them to look similar to me and be of a similar build, but also...
Which is, by the way, hard to find people like that.
I think also they would have to be able to move better than I can and be more proficient.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm happy to do my own stunts. If it's like falling and landing on my face, the time has come and gone for me to do all that stuff now. I've done that before. You know, I'm happy for a double to do that. I would say to do my own stunts and to help the stunt team help design the fight scene for my character, that was a real honor. It was the same team that did John Wick, 8711. Those guys are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are.
100%. And I was at that gym every day. I didn't work every day, but I was in the gym training every day. And Justin Chien, who plays the lead in Brother Sun, what a guy. Just, he's younger than I am, but I will always call him Big Brother because out of seniority and out of pure respect, because he worked so hard. He was in that gym every day. Even if he was filming, afterwards he would come in. And I know that because I was there every day. Yeah. And I didn't work as much as he did, but he was there every day drilling technique, lifting weights, practicing the choreography. And he looked out for everyone. He looked out for me. He looked out for absolutely everyone because this is his big break, you know, and he just looked after people. He was Big Brother. I don't care if he's younger than I am. I'll always call him that.
And Michelle?
Michelle, okay. Right, Michelle Yeoh. Oh my gosh, she is your best friend, your big sister, your aunt, and your mum rolled into one. Oh, wow. You can tell her everything. You know, I remember walking past her and she was talking to an assistant she was giving relationship advice to this assistant. It was amazing. And yeah, you can talk to Michelle about anything. Yeah. And wow, like when I first met her, well, I remember thinking, right, I'm working, it's Friday, I'm working with her Monday. That's my first day with her on Monday. Okay, so I'm just going to stay behind because I really want to meet her and introduce her, you know, and introduce myself to her before Monday. Okay, hi Michelle, my name's John, I play Blood Boots. Hi Michelle, my name's John, I play... Hi Michelle, I'm John. Yeah.
Star Trek.
Yeah. And she was like, Oh, yes, Blood Boots. You got your visa sorted. Amazing. Oh, so happy to meet you. Yes, I'm working with you on Monday. She just knew everything about me already.
Nice.
Wow. And there's a bit where on the Monday where she's sat down and the camera's quite close to her. And I have to drop onto my knees in like an L shape way so that I don't hit the camera and I don't, but I land on my mark. Yeah, I remember thinking it's kind of awkward, but I can do it. And I did it first time, and she said, "You do stunts?" I said, "Oh, I have a stunt background." "Oh, how'd you know?" She goes, "Been in those shoes." Oh my gosh! So no, Michelle Yeoh is amazing, and just a really wonderful person.
Yeah.
And you know, when if you hang out with her, and it's like, you're so cool. You're so cool. Like, can you adopt me? I believe many people said that to her, but she genuinely is such a nice person.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had such an amazing cast and crew. And the casting, like Jenny is, the casting director, Jenny Ju, is just a wonderful person. I think nobody has done more for me than she has. And I think we were really lucky to have such a wonderful environment, and these are people I'm still friends with now, you know, and it's a shame we didn't get renewed, but I know each and every one of the cast members are going to go on to do bigger and great things, and I'm so happy for them.
Are you in contact with some people from the cast after
yes.
the yeah?
Yeah, and everyone's doing their own thing, but Alice Hukin, who is also an amazing actress. She is from London. So we were connected on social media for a few years, and then I met her in LA, and actually it was fun hanging out with her because she gets it. She's from the UK as well, and we got to read lines together, and you know, you spend a lot of time with these people, and you become really close, and you just hope once you finish shooting, you're still close with these people.
Yeah.
Even if they are working on different things. But, I mean, Justin Chien just got cast for Last Airbender Season 2. I'm so happy for him. That's amazing. But for the most part, when I miss my actor friends, I mean, I can just message them, "Hey, I miss you, how you doing?" What I tend to do is I watch the shows that they're in, because when you're an actor, you love being in front of the camera and you love performing. That is you at your finest. That is you at your best. And when I watch something that you're in, because I miss you and I see you at your best, man, it gives me a lot of pride. It makes me proud of you, but also makes me miss you that bit more.
It's true. It's true. I agree with you. So, have you noticed a difference when you're performing as purely as an actor, or when you're performing in front of camera, but as a fighter, coordinator, or stuntman? Is there a difference in how you feel? Because why I'm asking, just like I would imagine that if acting is much newer for you, you would be much more nervous, maybe.
To begin with, yes. I think doing fight stuff is very natural for me to do that. I feel with I think Brother Sun was a big introduction for me into this kind of level. But I think once you're used to it, you're fine. You get. But I would say it's also about timing. If someone hits you and you block it, and you have to respond to it, it's timing. And it's the same thing with dialogue, you know. Like, I would say doing fight sequences is still acting. And that's the thing with Jackie Chan, for instance. He isn't afraid, but his character is afraid.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Like, you still have to react to everything that's happening,
absolutely.
even if you know what's happening.
Yes. So, and you can really get sucked into that. I have a scene with Michelle. It is my last scene in The Brother Sun where, oh man, I think I was very close to crying. You know, I was like, oh no, they're actually gonna shoot me. You know, you get so sucked into it, you know, and it's like, wow. I think when I heard actors who talk about really getting into the moment where they really feel that emotion, I didn't understand it until that moment in time. Also, I'm staring into the eyes of my hero, so I want to cry for many reasons here. But I think for the most part, when you are performing, it's being in the moment. You're not thinking about anything else. You are a player. You are a cog in a very big machine, you know. So I just have to be as prepared as I can. And so I worked with an actress last year a couple times called Kelsey Cook, who is amazing. She is one of the best actresses I've ever worked with. And she has like star quality, but I think just the way she's one of my inspirations, because when I see the way she acts, and it's like, oh, there are levels to this. There are so many levels to this. And I did a short film with her last year, which did well in the festival circuit. And it was me, Kelsey Cook, and Noah Bleeker, who is one of my best friends, who is amazing. And I remember, okay, I am the least experienced actor out of the three of us. And I learned so much from both of them. It's like, oh, that line delivery was amazing. Gosh, I need to match your energy. And it's people like Noah, people like Kelsey, that make me want to be a better performer.
But have you learned how to deal with nerves on
yes,
a set?
100%. And that comes from composure under pressure, which comes from my martial arts practices. So anytime that I feel nervous, I have to return my breathing back to what it is when it's relaxed. And then I can continue as if I am relaxed. Yeah. Now, I would say, of course, there's always a bit of nerves, you know, especially if you're going to be working with Michelle Yeoh or The Rock. People who have a huge body of work, who are seemingly larger than life. You know, I'm just here to be as professional as I can, do the best job I can, and give a good account of myself. And if I can do those things, and the director and the coordinators are happy, fine. Then I've done my bit. Mm-hmm. And then we'll see what it looks like in the edit, in the final cut. And sometimes, you know, I've certainly done like indie films where that was a really good scene. I'm so proud of that. And when you watch the final cut, like, why did you pick that take? Oh no, oh no. Happens to all of us.
I know what you mean. Okay, so but how have you got used to looking at yourself on screen?
Sometimes it's like, for the most part, I'm fine with it. And because when I do self-tapes, I do it with a front-facing camera because I can see myself. That's what I look like. And that way, if I don't like it straight away, because the setup isn't right, I can stop it and start again. If I do it the wrong way around, if I do it the other way around, I've done a whole take. Oh no. You see what I mean? So I'm aware of what my face looks like as I do my expressions. Yeah. I'm very aware of it. So when I watch it, anything that I'm in, I'm normally okay with it. It's a bit weird to begin with, but you kind of get used to it. Or why did I say it that way? You know, and it's too easy to second guess yourself and say, oh, I could have done this better. We could have all done a bit better. I'm sure we could have, you know, but on the day, you just want to, if you have a shoot tomorrow, okay, you're going to be a little bit nervous. Get an early night if you can. Get as much sleep as you can. Go through the motions. Make sure you're hydrated. Make sure you've had something to eat or something. And that way you want to be able to give the best account of yourself at your best self. I think that is so important because I don't want to be doing this line of dialogue when I haven't slept. You know, it might work for the character, but I'd rather pretend that I haven't slept than actually be sleep deprived.
Is there anything else from films that you want to talk about?
For actors in particular, I'd sum up with, you know, the industry is slow right now. It's not you. Yeah. It's not you. But when you're not working in your craft, you need to be working on your craft. Not now does not mean not ever. Because the world is big enough for everyone to have what we want to achieve and more. You know, it takes a long time, but the opportunities will be out there. Maybe not at the moment, but they will be out there. The right job, you'll be the right person for the right job. And there's going to be more film productions happening. Don't lose hope. Please don't lose hope. You know, when I was watching my friends do big films whilst I was doing smaller productions, really low budget ones, hey, I'm still in the game. I'm still working. I'm so happy for them. That is for them. It's not for me. My time will come, you know? And I think also, don't compare yourself to anyone else. If you're jealous of someone else, then you're counting their blessings and not your own. We always need to be in an attitude of gratitude. Be grateful for what we already have and what we are capable of. And eventually, you know, I think we have to get out there as well and network, because I know it's a cliche to say it's not what you know, but who you know, but it's also who knows you. I've worked with a bunch of people, you know, celebrities who might not even remember me. I can't say I know them, you know, or maybe I say I know him. He might not say I know John. So I think it's really important that we network as much as we can as well. That's really important.
Yeah.
But for the most part, stay positive. The opportunities will be out there. Not now does not mean not ever. Not now does never means not ever.
That's a very optimistic way of looking at it. And I mean, we should. It's just sometimes it's very hard when you're just going through rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds of rejection. How do you deal with rejection?
It's not rejection, it's redirection. So
Cheater.
I know, right? So not every opportunity is the right one for you. There are jobs I certainly thought, oh, would have been great at that. But hey, I didn't get it. I have to move on. Otherwise, I'm dwelling on the past. I don't want to be dwelling on something that could have been. And it wasn't for me. They cast, I would always say, most of the time, the right person gets the job. I just wasn't right for that. That's fine. For whatever reason, that's fine. For commercials, it's a bit different. I won't get into that. But I'd say, you know, my time will come. If not this one. Let's say you are sailing. You are in a boat sailing, and you go to a port, but the port is closed. They're not accepting visitors. What do? You go to the next one. That's how I regard it to be. I just go to the next one. Okay, if not that one, let's try the next one after that. I just keep working at it. I just keep working on myself as well. I think self-work is very important so that we deal with our own anxieties and we have to face them and deal with how we might react to rejection. And not every job is right for us. So I'd say it's not rejection, it's redirection. Something will happen for us down the line if we keep working. If I said to you, I can see your potential, you will be Prime Minister one day. I'm a psychic, okay? But then you choose to stay at home.
Country?
Yeah. So you're going to be Prime Minister one day. But then you choose to stay at home and do nothing and play Cyberpunk, for instance. Then the potential of you becoming Prime Minister disappears. So if I say to you, you're going to be amazing actor on a big screen, I can see it already. You still have to work for that to make those opportunities happen. So we still need to be working and heading in that direction. It doesn't matter how slow we're going. We could even be crawling so long as we are moving forwards. And sometimes I know actors who ended up writing their own opportunities. They ended up writing their own self-tapes, writing a script so that they could do a self-tape. I'm writing this film for myself. Let's see what a self-tape looks like. Oh, okay, maybe I need to rewrite this. And I also think it's important that we work in different parts of film if we work behind the camera. So last year I did a bunch of that. I've worked in audio before. I've worked briefly as a camera op, which was not fun. It's like, I really hope these shots are in focus. And, you know, I've done editing and everything. And okay, you know, and I've been a runner. As recent as last year, I've been a runner. And it doesn't, I think when I'm doing film work, especially when it was very quiet last year, hey, so I started producing a few more short films so that some actors were still working. And when you work behind the camera as a crew member, my gosh, it makes you appreciate just how much they do. And so I made sure, like, certainly on Eternals, Don Lee treated everybody with so much respect. He would come in, remember everybody's names. And he's like, oh, what's your name? Oh, Nick, hi, I'm Don. The next day, Nick, hi, how are you? Wow. So when I did Brother Son, I had that example to follow. Remember everybody's names. And I wrote 93 thank you cards that were personalized. It took 7 hours.
Wow.
But that is a memory they will have forever. And it only took me 7 hours to do that. Some of it was in alphabetical order, so whoever's name began with Z, I'm so sorry. My handwriting was like this. So it's like the two people at security, Sam and Deborah at security. They both got a card. Thank you for greeting me with a smile every single morning. You know, and like the assistants, all the assistants got them. And that's so important to me that they get that kind of recognition, because a lot of the assistants want to go further and become filmmakers, directors, and that I really want to encourage that, because the world's big enough for everyone to have what they want to achieve and more. It might not be now, might not be tomorrow, but if you keep working at it, it'll happen. It'll happen. There will be a day where you are living your dream without even realizing it. So I think it's important to just be in an attitude of gratitude, and just appreciate not only what we have, but where we will go next.
This sounds so fantastic. How did it feel when they canceled the Brothers Son?
It was really upsetting.
Because it has big ratings, very good ratings.
It was really upsetting, and it was down to viewership at the end of the day, and we can only say, look, there was a reason for that. Whether we agree with it or not, this has happened. I already know that each of the cast and crew are going to go on to do amazing things, and some of them already have. It's just a shame that we won't be together in the same way, and the journey for this one ends here. That is a real shame, but we can only hope that in the future, you know, I am reunited with some of the cast or some of the crew members, and we can reminisce on the Brother's Son, you know. But it took a bit of time to process it, but I would say we can't dwell on that, because that just sends us into a spiral. Oh, but then we could have done this, we could have done... Yeah, you know, I've thought all about that already. Heck, I lost 22 kilos. You know, so...
You haven't lost them, you got rid of them. There's difference.
Absolutely. Well, yes, that's true. But I'd say, you know, the show's still available to stream on Netflix, and people are still watching it. I still get messages from people. We are in November now. The show came out in January. People still watching the show and sending me DMs. For the most part, I try to reply to as many as I can. I think when the show came out, it was about 1,600 DMs, thereabouts. I replied to most of them. I couldn't reply to the thirsty ones because there were a lot of very thirsty messages. But you know what? You took time to write to me. And some of these messages were so lovely. I could not reply. So I always try to reply to as many as I can. But I think going forwards, that would be more difficult to do. So I have booked another job next year. I can't talk about it yet.
No.
NDAs and everything.
No, but that's a good news, because when it will be out, or, you know, before the premiere, we should do that again.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I'm always down. But I'd say, you know, there are more opportunities in the future. We just don't know what they are yet. And if we keep working, that's the only thing we can do, is keep working, keep improving, and keep this nice and positive. Yeah.
Which sometimes is very hard.
Absolutely.
Very hard.
Absolutely.
But, you know, we keep moving, keep pushing.
Absolutely.
Your 2 doctorates, what are they?
Coaching and leadership and counselling. So they are in many ways quite similar.
Counselling.
Yes. So I worked as a counselor for a number of years. I got into counseling initially not to help other people, but to help myself. Because about 10 years ago, I wrote a list of things that I didn't like about myself, things that needed to change. It was a long list. It was a long list. And systematically, I've just been going through that. Now, if you go to counseling, great. They can help you resolve some of those things. And, you know, and life coaching, they can help you find a direction to go into. But I thought, if I learn how to do it, if I take up counseling as a way to help other people, I will help myself first. I think you can only donate money if you first have money. I can only help you if I first help myself. So I'll put myself first. And that way I don't burn out. Yeah. So I want to drive you somewhere, but I don't drive. I don't have a car. I need to get this thing sorted before I can take you anywhere. So yeah, I mean, helping people was something that I always wanted to do, because if you grow up watching superhero cartoons and reading superhero comics, what do? They help people. They have the combat skills, great, but I want to be able to help people in a more tangible way. You know, it's I'm not rescuing people from a burning building, but if I can help adjust mindset, sit down with people, and that's really important to me. So when I worked in education, I did a lot of counseling for the students, because, you know, as a student, you have so much anxiety, and things I worried about when I was a kid seem so insignificant now. And it's putting that into perspective now. And I really want to be able to help people, because it's like, say you're a kid and you're worried about stuff. You tell an adult, the adult will tell you, nothing to worry about. We'll get this all sorted, no problem. Great. We as adults, who tells us? You know what I mean? It's, yeah, and I think it's just been grounded as well. So a lot of my educational background was very unrelated to the fields that I worked in as well. So I worked in water filtration for a while. Was a researcher for molecular hydrogen. I did a bunch of stuff, you know. I was a paranormal investigator for a few years.
Really?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Tell me more about that.
Well, you know, so I was a researcher for a subquantum physics project some years ago. And
okay, first of all, what is subquantum physics?
so
I barely know what physics is.
So I would say it's another model of physics, but it goes smaller than anything observable. And I was a junior researcher, and some of that involved paranormal studies, because people are saying something is wrong with this house, you know, and you know, I got invited to a lot of these houses, and for the most part, it's like, okay, that noise you're hearing is there during the day. You know, if you're hearing it at nighttime, it's there during the day as well. So a lot of things were not supernatural at all. Of course, when someone's going through an experience that they think is a supernatural thing, you have to listen to that, because it's very real for them. It might be, it might not be. We need to determine what it is. And most things might just be an old building that's creaky. Okay, let's look at the history of the building. Okay, you're telling me books are flying off the shelves. Let's look into that. So it's really interesting. I think it's like when you see like CCTV footage, for instance, what on earth is that? Why? So the guy might be able to see, he's in the same room as this thing. He can see it on the app on his phone, but he can't see it with his eyes. But the dog is barking at so there is something there. We just can't see it, but the camera has been able to capture that. That is fascinating. Let's look into that. So yeah, that was. I wouldn't say it was a full time. It was a side hustle, and it was all done through referral. Yeah. But you know, when people tell you they were abducted, or they've seen apparitions or ghosts or something, hey, okay, tell me more. Tell me more. And the first thing that you ever do is you listen to that experience. You don't place any judgment on it, because chances are them telling any of their friends, they'll get judged on it, you know. So that's the last thing you want to do. You want to listen to the whole experience from start to finish as much as you possibly can. You might take a few notes, but and then, okay, tell me more. Tell me more about the house. And, you know, for the most part, a lot of things. I used to work in a very old building founded in 1826. It used to be an old mental asylum.
Oh.
Yeah. But weird stuff would happen during the day, because we used to get contractors coming in, and big dudes, you know, and then they would get spooked and just walk out. And then the next day, what happened to Terry?
Did they know where they're working?
No. I mean, and most of those guys, when you tell them, you know, this place is haunted, they're like, I don't believe in that kind of stuff. But then they get spooked and walk out. And the next day, like, what happened to Terry? They said, Terry got spooked. He got reassigned. I'm here to fix the elevator. I was like, oh. He goes, is there anything I need to know about the elevator shaft? Because Terry won't tell us. I said, well, there's a lot of spiders in there. He's like, great. So, you know, you had people who didn't believe in stuff who would see stuff in that building, and they were afraid to tell people. I used to hear about this all the time, you know, but for the most part, when you approach that kind of subject, you have to be very open-minded, because what you're going through, what I'm going through as a paranormal experience, that's a very real experience for me. Whether you believe it or not, you just have to be open to that and listen. So anytime if someone says, I saw a ghost, I'm like, okay, tell me where? What time of day was it? Like, you know, did the temperature drop beforehand, or did it, you know, what time of day was this? You know, because you want to determine, were you asleep when this happened? Because, you know, or dreaming, and you want to ask it in a polite way. I think it's so important that we just stay as open as possible, and just not indulge, but actually extrapolate as much information as possible. And it's like, and they'll say, look, you know, you probably think I'm crazy. I do not think that at all. If you experienced it, you experienced it. And the fact that I'm here, the fact that I got called to this location, means that you're taking this seriously. So I'll take you seriously. You know, a couple times where it's like, you look at the family health history, and, you know, maybe the dad has a history of sleepwalking and wakes up in the middle of the night. It's like, oh, maybe you don't have a ghost. Maybe that's moving stuff. Maybe it's him. You know, so you never know. It's, yeah, certainly there are some stories where, you know, security team have to lock down this old house, and because vandals come in, and then, you know, one of them goes out, and this is a true story. One of them goes out to just and sees an old man and says, "Sir, you can't be here. You can't be here." Walks around the corner. Oh, God. Goes back to where the other security guards are. Like, yeah, I just saw an old man. I told him he couldn't be here. And then sees like a picture on the wall. Said, yeah, this guy. Yeah, wearing the same thing and everything. And it's like, this photo is like 100 years old. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, no, but I saw him. Yeah. I mean, so there are stuff like that does happen, and especially if it comes from a security guard, they're pretty real people, you know, and because they deal with physical stuff all the time, having to deal with people, danger. So they won't lie about that kind of stuff. It's fascinating. It's like, you know, when you look in, like, upstairs in the building I used to work at, there were a lot of glass offices, and, you know, it's maybe about 11:30 and turning off all the lights. Lights from downstairs are shining upstairs, so you can see like 5 reflections. Yeah. You wave, right? And one of them doesn't wave back. The other 5 do, but the 6th one doesn't wave back at you. You're like,
I'm out of there.
I'm like, I'm awake. I'm awake, you know. Yeah, so...
Did this happen to you?
It happened to me, yeah.
In that
building? Yeah. I was like, well, that's not pleasant. Time to leave.
What did you do?
So, I mean, I must have stared at myself that wasn't, it was kind of just staring through me.
Yeah.
But the other reflections moved with me, but just not that one. I thought, well, there's nothing wrong with that glass. I know that there's definitely nothing wrong with that window. I'll check it tomorrow morning. I thought, well, time to leave. Yeah, you know, just packed my bags up, locked the gate and left. And that stuff does happen, you know. It's a glitch in the matrix. I mean, whoever is the programmer of this particular simulation has not fixed all the bugs.
Who knows? There are theories.
Absolutely, you know.
What would be the well, this case is very weird, but like, what would be other cases that you were researching that were unexplainable?
I would say anything to do with, I think when you go to like psychics, for instance, a lot of them are really good at reading people. So there is that. And I think the stuff that is less explainable is the stuff where you all happen to see something and you all saw the same thing in the same room under the same conditions. None of you were under the influence of anything, but you all saw the same thing, witnessed the same event, and none of you can explain it. It's like, and then you interview them separately. Okay, did you all collude and meet together to discuss, get your story straight? Because if you did, why would you do that? And it's like, okay, what did you see? You all sat, you know, opposite each other in a room, empty room. Okay, it was 10 p.m. Okay, it's dark. You didn't have your phones on you. That's a little convenient. But yeah, you know, and you know, you all saw something emerge like a beam of light that just happened to be in the center of the room. Now, okay, cars do drive past. Was it a reflection from? No. Okay. Sometimes you have to test that. Okay, late at night, drive. Is there any kind of way my car lights can make that thing appear? They said no. It was a very like oval-shaped beam of light that seemed localized in one space and time, just there. It didn't move, and we were all like, "Guys, what is that?" And then it disappeared. You're like, "Okay, but did it cast a reflection, or was it? Well, we had the lights off, so okay, and it's just trying to collect as much information. We still don't know what it was. Yeah, but everybody in that room happened to see it. And me as the third party who wasn't there, it's like, okay, nobody knows what it is, but you not knowing doesn't tell me that you know what it is, because it's like people have a theory. I think it might be this, but you already said you didn't know, you know. Yeah. So there are things that it's not that we don't know, we just don't know yet. And I don't think they were hallucinating, but it's, you know, a lot of things like this, sometimes you just bring comfort by listening to what the experience was. It's like, oh, I feel better getting this off my chest because people think I'm crazy when I talk about this stuff. And then they feel better, and then there are no more experiences after that. So I'm like, interesting. But you just never know. I think the universe is so vast. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, we do know already a lot in comparison to what we knew, like, I don't know, 300 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, maybe even less than that.
But we still don't know a lot of things.
Absolutely. And I think if, for argument's sake, this room was the size of the universe and this little dot here on my hand is what we know, you know, there's so much to learn. You know, I think the more we learn, the more we realize there is to learn. And that is true of in any metric, in any field or any industry that we work in, or any skill set that we're practicing towards. There's always something to learn. There's always something a bit more. It's and I think that's the joy of life. You can never learn it all.
I agree with you. So apart from this project that you can't talk about, what else do you have in the pipeline?
Christmas is coming up. Yeah, aside from that, I'm writing a few things at the moment as well. Not because I want to produce them, but just to get ideas out. And if I have ideas, I can create dialogue or I can create little fight sequences. I might film them with some friends. And then, hey, down the line, if you need choreography that happens to match this, I've got something, or I've got ideas already. This year we were teaching screen fighting seminars as well. So I have a great team of guys and one girl. So I have Justin, Malaya, and Sophie who help me run my seminars, specifically for actors who want to do more action and stunt performers that just want a bit of practice. And we have a foam pit and everything. You can just dive in. And it's a lot of fun.
Where did it? Is it here in Oxford?
It's
or
in Reading.
London?
It's a gymnastics school in Reading, and it's at Virtue Gymnastics. So in the new year, we might plan a few more seminars before my job in March, which I can't talk about.
You also worked on The Gentleman.
Yes.
How was it? Because I think I remember you. I remember like it's a small role. You getting shot in the head.
Story of my life. Story of my life.
How was it working with Guy Ritchie and just in general on this project?
Really good. He knew what he wanted, very specific, and it was quite an efficient shoot. I think the people called me Fat Tony a lot on set, and I was like, just call me Tony, please. I beg you. Such a lovely crew. Such a lovely crew, and I was only on it for maybe 3 or 4 days, and I to see how much of a cult following the film has, and for people to point at me and say, "Hey, weren't you that guy?" It's really sweet. What an experience, though. And I think when they made the TV show, I did get the call for it, and I said, "Look, is it a problem that I got killed off in the film? Is that a problem?" They said, "Oh yeah, we'll get back in touch with you." And so then,
why did you tell them?
I know. Well, you know what? I'm all about transparency. They would have found out anyway.
Well, it's too late. You're already there. Well, it's his twin brother.
So here's the thing. They ended up casting Hon Ping Tang, who is a very good friend of mine. He is like an older version of me. He's a bit taller, and he's buff, and he has a beard.
Buffer than you?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But he's a great guy. But in fact, he was super supportive of my career very early on. I remember, I had him on Facebook years ago, and I messaged him saying, "Can you help me? Like, I'm a bit lost with my career. And he said, "Yeah, sure." Yeah, and gave me lots of advice. And I said to him, "Look, can I take you for a coffee sometime?" And then we met up, and we had a coffee. It was great, and we just got to hang out. And he's always been so supportive of me. So when I ended up being a stunt double for the Gentleman TV series, it's one of those things where it comes full circle. I thought, this is incredible.
Nice.
And I couldn't believe it. I thought, he said, "Mate," I was like, "Oh my God."
That's amazing. Honestly.
Yeah. So you know what? That was a good shoot. I was only on it for a day, but and I get my head slammed through a wall. So it's not a gunshot, so makes a change. But I think just The Gentleman. It's just an honor to be a part of that whole process.
Yeah, of course. All right, so we have BLITZ round.
Oh,
quick questions, quick answers.
Okay.
Texting or talking?
Texting.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Your one guilty pleasure?
Ice cream.
What makes you laugh?
Trolling my friends.
I love that. What makes you angry?
I don't get angry. I haven't lost my temper in 10 years.
Nice. Challenge accepted. Do you have any nicknames?
A few. Fat Tony being one of them. John from Oxford. The General.
John from Oxford is very kind of like very
very specific. Yeah. Big man, Kung Fu Panda. Yeah.
See that?
Snorlax. Yeah, I'll take it.
Is there a dish that you cook best?
Medium rare steak.
Don't start with it. I still haven't eaten today. Your favorite character in any fictional story?
Oh, it's between Sheldon and Jean-Luc Picard. But if I had to choose one, it's going to be Avery Brooks, who plays Benjamin Sisko from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Yeah, 100%.
Star Wars or The Lord of the Rings?
Star Wars.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek.
Alien or Aliens?
Alien.
Do you have any unexpected talent? Well, you have a lot of unexpected talents, but do you think that there is any talent that you have that's very unexpected for others?
I play violin
as well.
And not as good as it these days, but
all right. How often do you cry?
Oh, more than I would care to admit. If I watch a film, an emotional film, or Sheldon's Nobel Peace Prize speech, that sets me off.
Yes. You know what also set me off? There is a moment, a very specific moment, when he says, "Please don't hurt my friend."
Oh! He says it to Penny. Yeah.
You remember that when he's like, "I don't care, it's about me," and then he just stops and then he comes back like, "Don't hurt my head." I was like, "Oh my god!"
Sheldon, that's the last thing I want to do.
Yeah.
You know what? That'll set me off right now.
And finally, how can people reach you if they want to work with you?
Instagram is probably the best way to reach me, or email. Or if it's film related, then it would have to be through my agents.
Okay. And now, final bit that we have, that's called One Cool Thing. Is there anything that you really like, you think our viewers or listeners should try it to?
So, I like napping.
Try napping.
So, these days I will have a coffee before I nap. And I'll set a timer for maybe 15-20 minutes. Once I wake up, the caffeine will take its effect. And then when I wake up, I'm wide awake. I'd say no more than 15-20 minutes nap.
It's like in midday somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can nap anywhere. Yeah. And the problem is if you nap too long, you're like, oh. So if you set an alarm for, say, 15-20 minutes and you have a coffee before you go to... It's a little way where you can instantly be more alert. The alternative to that, what I used to do, was after a nap, if I'm having a nap here, I would have a cold shower. Because that would wake you up very quickly. That is not a nice way.
No,
so I've been trying to find alternatives.
Yeah. So, before you go to, for a nap, but again, are you a person who easily falls asleep?
Yes. Because
for me, first of all, 15-20 minutes, if I would fall asleep and then something wakes me up from a nap, I'm bad. First of all, I'm angry. Secondly, I'm just I just feel like a fish, I can't move. But here is where caffeine helps. I understand that, but to fall asleep for 15-20 minutes, because sometimes it takes me half an hour just to fall asleep.
So, if you are, let's say you're really tired anyway, and you're really tired anyway, and you have to go traveling, or you have something to do, you need to leave the house in 20 minutes or something. Do I have time for a nap? Do I have, I'm just going to close my eyes for a bit. And then when you wake up, it's like, oh, having a bit of caffeine beforehand really helps. So it's context-based. I won't just have a coffee before a random nap where I don't have to do anything for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
If I have a nap, I have a nap. But if I have to be somewhere and I need to leave in 15 minutes or do something in 15-20 minutes, okay.
And you need a bit more energy. That's why you need to have this little nap right now.
Absolutely. I'd rather have a nap and the caffeine kick in when I wake up than just have the caffeine. And I'd also say with caffeine, if you're going to have caffeine in the morning, an hour and a half, I'd say leave an hour and a half or 2 hours before you have any caffeine.
Mm-hmm. I've heard about that
Yeah.
theory from Andrew Huberman, I think.
Okay.
He was
yeah,
talking a lot about it on the internet. But it's still like, for me, I don't know, I just want my coffee.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, look, thank you very much for this.
Thank you for having me.
It's a huge pleasure to talk to you. I hope you will, have more success in your endeavors, and we'll have a chance to talk about some new projects as well. And I really hope we'll have a chance to work with you together.
I would love that.
Maybe even with our mutual friend Robin Bond.
Yes.
Because I remember he
Yes.
he was talking to me quite a while that he has some projects in his pipeline, and I'm pretty sure.
Rob's a good guy.
Yes.
I really like Rob.
Yeah. So one day,
I hope
if
so
you
too.
enjoyed this podcast, like, subscribe, put a comment down under there if you enjoyed The Brother's Son or any other projects from Jon, and bye.
Thank you so much.